All right. Hi, everyone. Bradley Stalder here. And I'm going to be doing some drafting on drafters.com Bestball Tournament. So this is the $5.55 Drafters Early NFL Best Ball Championship. It's a $5.55 entry. So low stakes, but it's a best ball tournament. Total prizes $50,000. So far, there are 4,000 entrants. And instead of underdog fantasy, which has been, a half PPR settings, the scorings and rules I want to show here are, where is it? There we go. So we go to NFL, best ball, and it is a full PPR roster and scoring, one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers. So wide receiver is going to be very important in these drafts. A tight end, a flex. 25 passing yards gets you a point, 4 points per passing touchdown, a tenth of a point for every rushing yard and receiving yard. Full PPR rushing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns are each 6 points. And then normal defensive scoring, et cetera, et cetera. So the big thing is I'll be targeting wide receiver heavy, especially wide receivers who command targets. So in these drafts, that's who I'm going to be looking for. And so far, there are over 4,000 entrants, which is pretty good. And info, so there's 9 of 12. We're going to wait for 3 to fill. Go to league home. I'm just familiarizing myself with drafters. And yeah, so we'll get started when the room fills. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in anyways. If you can follow me at FF Stalder on Twitter, and I'll be talking a lot about best ball this off season. It's a good time. It's a good time. So a few things about this $5.55 Drafters Early NFL Best Ball Championship is that when we look at the payout structure, so go to NFL, best ball, $5.55. The top prize is $10,000. Second prize is $5,000. Third prize, $2,500. So you can double your money for about double your money, $10 if you are in the top 15%. So you need to be doing pretty well to even just double your money in this tournament. Right now, it's 11 of 12 filled, and I am in this fast draft. So I'm going to go to league home here, and we'll probably get started very shortly. I'll click on my team. No player drafted yet. Okay. So just familiarizing myself with this room, clicking on league and players and settings. My first best ball draft, Chili Chris said 2 months ago. That's when he's doing his first best ball draft. Okay, cool. And it looks like we are almost full with the fast draft, 30 seconds per pick. You can do fast drafts, slow drafts on drafters.com. It's a 20-round single quarterback. So in this particular setting, I probably want to go with one quarterback early and one quarterback late, but fill in my wide receiver positions. I'm tempted to go a zero running back strategy in this type of draft just because it's 20 rounds. Wide receivers score the most in these full PPR. And I'm going to probably target a rushing quarterback given the rushing upside that exists. 6 points per rushing touchdown, 1/10 of a point per rushing yard. And as for fumbles, it's 2 points for fumble lost, but there's no points lost if a player just fumbles the ball. All right. So it's going to be an interesting time. I've never done a drafters.com. Just signed up today. It's going to be a fun little time experimenting, seeing what I like, what I don't like, maybe giving some comments. I've done almost 80 drafts, probably about 80 drafts so far on Underdog Fantasy since February. And now that there have been some issues with the Underdog, I'm trying out a few different sites, and so I'll be doing some FFPC and doing some other drafts until I can figure out the Underdog Fantasy deal. Okay, so 11 out of 12 is filled. Let's see, are we going to be in? Not quite. Still waiting on one more person to join tonight's 30-second draft. So there is no playoffs. You play weeks 1 through 17. So I'm probably going to, I don't know what the ADPs are on drafters.com. I don't know where the rookies are, where some of the free agents that I'm interested in taking shots on. I don't know. This is all going to be a new thing. So if you are tuning in, you can check out, have some questions for me in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll go in and adjust the title based on where I'm drafting at, probably after this draft, so that I can try it out. Okay. So let's see here. Just refreshing. Laid Dog is asking 12-person fast drafts for $1.10. Okay. Yeah. So this room is about 40% full, and I don't know if it's going to fill before the draft, but the cutoff is April 28th. Cutoff is April 28th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern before the NFL draft. Now there's just a few nights up until the NFL draft coming up. So these rookies are going to skyrocket in value for sure. So I'll be taking advantage of drafting here on Drafters, just depending upon the ADP. But I'm assuming, just like Underdog Fantasy, that the rookies are going to be undervalued, and especially the rookie wide receivers are going to be undervalued. In these full PPR rooms, I want to stay away from like the Nick Chubbs of the world. I want to stay away from the J.K. Dobbins of the world, the Chris Carsons, the Kenneth Walkers of the world, where maybe they can catch some passes, but it's not something that is like strongly existing within the range of outcomes. Whereas like Kareem Hunt might be a very interesting late round running back. Or a Melvin Gordon might be a late round running back that I'm interested in. Okay. Very good. Yeah, so it is a full PPR as well. So some targets in this draft will probably be Deontay Johnson, Devontae Adams, Marquise Brown, high target share types of players who could be on good offenses. Now the Steelers probably aren't going to be a great offense, but we can think back to how big Ben Roethlisberger was last year, and he may have been throwing for a high volume, but the offense wasn't in scoring position. So Deontay Johnson, he was getting a lot of targets, but they were like worthless targets. You get your point for the reception, but you wouldn't get yardage. You wouldn't get touchdowns in the way that maybe Mitchell Trubisky could get him the ball. Okay. Just refreshing here. Still waiting on one more person. Rankings. NFL. Ooh, they do have ADPs. So let me take a look at some of these ADPs. Jonathan Taylor, McCaffrey, Cup, Jefferson, Henry, Eckler, Chase. Interesting. Jamar Chase is after Justin Jefferson in these full PPR drafts. I think that's right, though. Jefferson should be significantly ahead. But with Travis Kelce, he is a player that I think should be. Ooh, does that mean we're ready? No, it does not mean we're ready. They may want me to set my own rankings here. Best ball. Yes. I don't know. Josh Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Jackson. I'm surprised that Jackson now hasn't moved ahead of Mahomes in ADP. That is surprising to me, given how Patrick Mahomes has fallen in some of these super flex drafts that I've done on Underdog Fantasy. Oh, there we go. Starting in 2 minutes, we're gonna get drafted. Let's go. And I am 5th. I've got the 5th pick. I am ready. Let's draft. So I've got the 5th pick, which means that Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler will probably be there for me, but I would be looking for Justin Jefferson if I can. I'd really like to get Justin Jefferson at the 5th spot. If he can fall to me there. Jamar Chase also is a player that I want to get my hands on if available as well. I don't know how this is going to go, but you can see actually next to each of the players how many of these drafts they've done. 19 drafts for Why Not Me, 70 for that Philly kid, 126 for Foosball. So there are some experienced drafters, and it looks like I'm the only rookie in this room on Drafters Fantasy Sports. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a little bit of fun drafting against some more veteran drafters fantasy sports room. Okay. Saying hi to everybody. We've got about 20 seconds till the draft starts. And as I said, I want to be pretty wide receiver heavy to begin this, and maybe all right, cool. All right, Why Not Me is on the clock. This is cool. Let me Oh, you add more. Okay. So I'm just familiarizing myself with some of the buttons here. You can scroll down to using that. Why Not Me is on the clock. And Jonathan Taylor, unsurprisingly, goes first. That Philly kid up now. Courtesy Flesh will take Deshaun Watson no matter what. Watch out, LOL. Let me see if I can share. Let me switch accounts here. Your channel. All right, looks like I am up, and Jefferson goes off the board. Not what I want, but we are going to draft Jamar Chase. I want that wide receiver. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. Videos. Manage videos. All right, cool. Live. Copy link. Streaming here. Okay, so we'll see if anyone from the draft wants to jump on in to the YouTube just to watch. Okay, so off the board, Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler. That's actually a little surprising that Eckler goes off at the 102. That's been a little, I mean, this is a full PPR. So I guess Eckler is a consideration there. Jefferson, I was kind of upset that Jefferson didn't get to me, but he is my wide receiver 101. Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. I took Chase, so I'll probably look to stack him with Burrow and T. Higgins later on. Maybe a later stack of Hayden Hurst. I don't know exactly where. Yeah, T. Higgins is questionable. I might have to take him round 2. That's not ideal either, but nevertheless, I'm just going to go anti-fragile here and probably just tap wide receiver value as it comes to me. Although Travis Kelce went off the board, that was disheartening. I hoped he would have come back to me. But in these types of drafts, I'm probably not going to go wide receiver or running back unless there's a tremendous value or, I'm missing on something. I just don't see how an Alvin Kamara is worth it at this point, or a Nick Chubb is a mid-second round pick. It just doesn't make sense to me. So give me A.J. Brown, give me Mike Evans, give me T. Higgins. I don't think T. Higgins would be too crazy at pick 20 to make sure that I get like Joe Burrow and tied the Cincinnati offense. Although I don't want to lose out on ADP as well. If A.J. Brown is there, I'll probably take A.J. Brown, 2 of the biggest wide receiver deep threats, big play threats. So A.J. Brown does go off the board there. I'm not drafting Alvin Kamara, not Nick Chubb. Leonard Fournette possibly, but no. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm gonna go T. Higgins. Go with the Cincinnati stack. I'm feeling good about that. Okay. Yeah, let other people take running back at that point. The reality is there are only a couple league-winning running backs every year, and you're risking significant issues. Like, there are significant problems. Let me look at where Joe Burrow should be going. He's 62, so I'm probably going to have to take him 5th round unless I don't see quarterback go off the board until 4th round. Then I think it'll be pretty safe to wait on Burrow. No one would be really interested in taking him. He might be a good 6th round pick, I think, if he falls in ADP. Nevertheless, I want to tie myself to good offenses. So looking at some of the wide receivers here, I'm not sure what to think about Arizona and DeAndre Hopkins. He's been a fade for me lately. Waddle, the offense, I think, goes up, but Waddle pre-Tyreek Hill was a nicer value or a nicer play. Now his ceiling's kind of capped by the Tyreek Hill situation, the Tyreek Hill trade. Yeah, the Chargers will have a good offense. So if I wanted to pivot to Herbert, if I miss out on Burrow, something like that, that would be a consideration. DJ Moore and DK Metcalf, those are not good offenses. Let me look. Are there any? Oh, Andrews. Yeah, in a full PPR, Mark Andrews to get the best, arguably the best tight end. We're going to draft Andrews there. I was not expecting Andrews to make it to the 3rd round, but here we are, Mark Andrews, and he was putting up Travis Kelce type numbers last year. That's why I'm confident drafting him in a full PPR. Ooh, Breece Hall, going in the third round, pick number 30, right on cue. I really don't want to. I hope there isn't a quarterback run between now and then. The Diggs drafter foosball's got to be ticked that he's sniped from Josh Allen at this point. I mean, 2 more spots and Josh Allen would have gotten there. But now we've seen Saquon Barkley fall about 4 spots in ADP. That's an interesting spot. Saquon Barkley, David Montgomery. In a full PPR, Kyle Pitts is interesting to me. Yeah, I don't want to tie myself to like Terry McLaurin. Like his ceiling weeks certainly hit a ceiling, but you need to start 3 wide receivers, not just 2. And you can't bank on Terry McLaurin giving you ceiling weeks even half of the year. That's the issue. Carson Wentz is not a good quarterback to get those ceiling weeks, especially when you have now Kurt Samuel returning and the Washington football team is tied to rookie wide receivers in this draft already. I'm concerned about having Terry McLaurin even as your wide receiver 1 and then even as your wide receiver 2. Like you'd have to, like I would be maybe okay with taking him as my wide receiver 3 here, but it's still not a good offense. I would rather have myself tied to a good offense like Cincinnati. Baltimore can be a good offense and they'll play each other and there's correlation interdivisionally there. Okay, we've only seen 1 quarterback off the board, which is boding well for me not needing to take Joe Burrow here at round 4 or round 5. It's looking good to not need to do that. I'm up, and DJ Moore is here at the 44. It's hard to pass up DJ Moore at this point, even with not a great offense. Yep. I think I'm going to go DJ Moore here. I feel good about Moore as my 3rd wide receiver. And I've got Andrews. This is certainly, I like how this is starting. I'm tying myself to good offenses. I've filled all 3 wide receiver spots. I don't like Chris Godwin going off right after DJ Moore. I don't see how that works out too well. We've got some good offenses here. Tampa Bay, the Chargers, and the Rams for Sugar Bears. But I don't like Godwin as your wide receiver 3. Just not someone that I'm targeting at that spot. We still only have seen 1 quarterback go off the board, and that's Josh Allen. And I'm feeling pretty good about not needing to draft either Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow right now. I think that quarterback could fall, and it looks like Mahomes has fallen, and so has Justin Herbert. Coming around back after me, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterback possibilities. Okay. Okay, Cortland Sutton goes off the board. That's interesting. You know, as the quarterback 2 in the 5th round, I'd like the stacking with Lamar Jackson. But am I passing up other players at this point? Let's draft Michael Thomas as my wide receiver 4. He's going to get a lot of targets if he's in that offense. And I'm willing to take a gamble on that wide receiver 4, but I'm not willing to gamble on my 3 wide receivers. Also, it looks like the gamble is going to pay off because Mahomes goes off the board. I just have to make it through 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come back around 5 quarterbacks and looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think those players. We wouldn't have Derek Carr or Trey Lance stacked here. Allen is already off the board. No one's going to stack Ryan. We may see a stack coming back around with Kyler Murray or Dak Prescott with CeeDee Lamb, but that would still not fit too well. I'm surprised that the stacks aren't stacking up the way you'd think. All right, we see a double tight end play, Darren Waller and George Kittle. Coming back around, Lamar Jackson goes off the board. I'm just hoping Joe Burrow is not sniped here. I don't see any reason why he would. This Rosenhaus factor will probably go Trey Lance. And Trey Lance here doesn't go off until the 103 on average, so not for a couple more rounds. I'm not too worried that he'll take Joe Burrow. I'll be kind of upset if Joe Burrow gets taken. And he takes Kyler Murray. J-Line is kind of kicking himself with not taking ETN there. So we do see a bit of a quarterback run. I just have to survive 2 picks, I think, or 3 picks. Joe Burrow not getting taken, and the gamble would have paid off. Either that or I wait another round probably and take Jalen Hurts. Worst case scenario. Because Hurts, I think, can be one of those quarterbacks that you can draft naked. You don't need to stack him to be, all right, we've got 2 picks. Actually, I just have to survive courtesy flush here. And I don't think he goes with Joe Burrow. I'd be really sad if I get sniped on my first drafters draft. Oh man, if he takes Burrow, I'd be pretty upset. I'd probably use words. He does. Okay. Well, such is life here. Let's look and see. Well, Marquise Brown is still on the up available. I'll take Marquise Brown. I got sniped on both of my stack possibilities. I missed this stack of Cincinnati Joe Burrow by 1 spot because courtesy flush was just a jerk. So come on, courtesy flush. So I took Marquise Brown, and to correlate with the Mark Andrews, I am hitting that pretty hard. I am going to have to start taking some running backs. And I think in this format, the perfect 0 running back targets would be the A.J. Dillons of the world, the Rashad Pennies, the Clyde Edwards-Hilairs, the Tony Pollards. Oh, Chase Edmonds here. That would be nice. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Devin Singletary at this point because I feel like he could just get scooped up real quick. Yeah. That's no fun. That is no fun. Courtesy flush. I'm so upset now. At least XMWFX616X gets his Judy Wilson stack. But yeah, I need some correlation here. Not a fan of this. Okay, Singletary off the board. I mean, looking at Hurts, that's 86. That's too early. 76 Prescott. I'm a big believer in Prescott, but I do need some running back help. So I'm going to draft AJ Dillon a little early, but I don't think he would come back to me at that point. AJ Dillon's ADP, it isn't showing on here. He sustained broken ribs against the 49ers. Nevertheless, yeah, like AJ Dillon at around 7 as my running back 1. I think he's going to get rush volume and touchdown upside, but I'm also a big fan of the Chase Edmonds probably coming back. That's who I want to target. But Chase Edmonds is at 98 too. So probably in round 9, I think round 9 that would be a good value. I think at this point, Jalen Hurts is very interesting to me. I'm surprised Trey Lance is so low on here, given the rushing upside that Trey Lance has shown. These ADPs are definitely out of whack compared to Underdog Fantasy. Now, granted, Underdog is half PPR. This is full PPR. However, on Underdog, you see Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson go pretty close together, and Dak Prescott as well. But Jalen Hurts is up there. Derek Carr is like in his own tier below Trey Lance and Justin Fields. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to have to go with some Justin. Why are there 2 quarterbacks? That's interesting. Those 4 tight end builds were very interesting on the FFPC. Maybe my last 3 picks will be tight ends. I just ignore that position for a while. But I think I'm going to go Hurts here and then see if I can get Edmonds on the way back. And then I'll feel good about just taking value the rest of the way until tight end late. I think that's my plan now. Because I can draft Jalen Hurts naked, or Matthew Stafford is falling in ADP. If he's available, that's a consideration. His ADP is 80.5, and nothing's wrong with Stafford. So I know he's not super mobile, but maybe I can take him. Yeah, let's do that. Matthew Stafford. I know he doesn't stack well, but maybe I can take some late wide receiver shots with Van Jefferson, like a Van Jefferson correlation. So he's someone that I can put on the brain here. Search Jefferson, Van Jefferson. Yeah, I'll just throw him on there. Higbee. Okay, yeah, the Higbeast. Let's close that. All right, we'll throw Hurts in the queue. Well, I don't need Hurts that early. We'll throw Chase Edmonds in the queue. Absolutely. I love Dallas Goedert and that value, but he goes off the board. And if you go Justin Jefferson, I think you should go Kirk Cousins. Like Kirk Cousins is a screaming value right now. I also think Russell Gage is interesting. But just looking at the teams that I've correlated, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Carolina. Baltimore, Bateman is interesting. Yeah. I like how you can go through the teams and just click. I like that. I like that feature. the LA Rams. Darrell Henderson. Let's look at all. Okay, Chase Edmonds, I think, is the pick here. In a full PPR, I think that's very interesting. Yeah, so I've queued up some Baltimore and Cincinnati and LA Rams players just for me to toss in late. And of course, if there's extreme value, I'm going to consider that as well. But Chase Edmonds coming to me at that point, a 0 RB and a full PPR, I'm very, very happy about those correlations here. I think one of the most undervalued tight ends has got to be, Cole Kmet, of course, but Hayden Hurst at 169. Where's 169 in here? Round 15. I think that's a great value. We saw CJ Uzama have a couple tight end 1 overall finishes on the week. And that's the type of thing that wins you these tournaments, is you hit on big time offenses. You want to be tying yourself to some offenses that can just go off, frankly. I know Boyd went off the board there, but Bateman will be a consideration at this point. Justin Fields as my quarterback 2. And then I'll be set at quarterback. Like, you don't need that much at quarterback. Rashad Bateman does go off there. I'm still triggered in my first Drafters Fantasy Sports draft ever. I don't get my T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow triple stack. So, such is life. Such is life. Trey Lance is there. He goes off the board. Stacks with Brandon Ayuk. Kirk Cousins goes off the board, paired with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not a big fan of Ronald Jones on Kansas City. Maybe this is just the Clyde Edwards-Helaire in me talking, but a player that you want to be targeting I'll probably be looking at 125 or so is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. That's the type of ceiling player that you want on your team. Let me look at the queue. Nothing interesting at the ADP. Arizona. I think Fields is the type of player you can draft naked. So I think I'm all set at quarterback. Yeah, in a 20 league, you want some correlation. In Chicago, I think Mooney has already gone off, but Kmet has not. And that's a pretty consolidated room. So let me look at, Cole Kmet is there at 145. That's like a round 13 consideration. The way we've seen players fall here, he could be a round 13 consideration. Round 12 coming up, I'm looking at like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think and he goes off though, because he's such a ceiling play. He's the exact type of player you want in these best ball leagues, because he has a very large, interesting that Tua is the only quarterback there. That's not what you want. I mean, he's paired with Waddle, so that's good. But he didn't even have a chance to get Tyreek Hill for the triple stack. And maybe you don't want too much. It's hard to read this room. There's not a lot of stacking happening. Not a lot of correlation going on. Like, I don't want to force anything, but there's value to be had. I think Isaiah Spiller will be a good pick coming up for me. We saw Ertz and Farmouth, Albert Okwuegbunam go off at this point. Lately, we've seen some tight ends, and Isaiah Spiller, perfect. Yeah, this is a good player to get at 125. Yeah, just taking shots at running back at this point. I have my wide receivers all set, at least the starters, because then I have Chase Higgins, Brown, DJ Moore, Michael Thomas can alternate in there as well in the flex spot. I'll probably come around and, depending upon how the draft is going, consider taking Cole Kmet. I think he's a top 6 upside PPR tight end, just because of the target share and the consolidated offense that the Chicago Bears, I anticipate them to run. I mean, they may draft an early wide receiver, but I don't see them venturing out and drafting 2 early wide receivers, especially given that I don't think they have a first round pick with the Justin Fields trade from last year. So we see Isaiah Spiller, Rachaad White, Melvin Gordon, a little bit of a running back run happening here. When in doubt, take some rookies as well, is what I'll say in these types of drafts. If you're not sure who you should take, like there's not a stack made available, it's possible that a rookie could be a stack. I mean, I have Chicago and I have the LA Rams are the 2 quarterbacks that I have leading, and I also have a pretty heavy investment in Cincinnati. So I don't want to miss out on players like that. I am kind of bummed that Tyler Boyd didn't make it all the way back to me. I would have taken him at the 116, but he went off at the 109. He's got ceiling that I think is underreported and undervalued. There were numerous times where he was a top 10 weekly finisher last year for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati offense. Right now, we're getting to some pretty significant value. Devontae Parker going off for Kenny Galladay or Will Fuller or DJ Chark. Yeah, I think I do want to take Cole Kmet before I take Darrell Henderson. But, I'll probably look at a two, 5, 11-2 draft. That's what I'm thinking at this point. I'm just going to keep hammering wide receiver, and maybe if I can get Cole Kmet, then I'll be all set. I probably won't. I'll hit Hayden Hurst, so that's 3. So probably a 2, 5, 10, 3 draft is what I'm looking at this point. Henderson does go off the board, so I don't get that correlation. But I don't want to miss out on Cole Kmet. He's my guy for this year, stacked with Justin Fields. That's going to be a nice little spot there. We see Juice Landry go off, Tim Patrick go off. Those are good spots for them. Now I don't have to, I'll be able to wait on like the Hayden Hurst, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbees. Although I'll probably take Higbee off because I do want the later stack in Hayden Hurst. 169 would probably be round 14, round 15. And given the way that things are going, I'll take some like George Pickens, I think, at this spot if he's available. We saw Patrick, Landry, Hines, McKissick, Crowder, these PPR but low upside types of players that might be able to crack your lineup. No, you want players that will really crush, and Cole Kmet stacking with Justin Fields, that could crush. Stafford, I felt like that was just too big of a value. Honestly, like in the eighth round, Matthew Stafford. I know it wasn't to stack, but I got sniped, so gotta do what you gotta do. Although I'm looking here at Kenny Golladay dropping 20 spots, Will Fuller dropping 20 spots, Chark dropping 16. Pickens would actually be a stretch here. So that's interesting to me. Kendrick Bourne is also very interesting to me. Yeah, let's go Pickens in the 13th round. There we go. Feel good about that. Because I don't need 4 tight ends. I have 6 wide receivers and full PPR. I just want to keep taking shots on players. I've got a pretty good wide receiver core, but you never know with these injuries and Michael Thomas and what if something happens with Cincinnati? You just never know. If Joe Burrow goes down, then at least I have shots at Chase and Higgins, but DJ Moore, Marquise Brown, those are volume plays. George Pickens is going to get either first or second round draft capital in the draft in a couple days. Higbee goes off the board. That's fine. Yeah. J line at 42. Higbee 153 at right at ADP. Yeah, if I can get Van Jefferson, then Hayden Hurst, I'll be very happy about how things shook out. I am surprised that William Fuller and DJ Chark haven't gone off the board yet in a start 3 wide receiver tournament. I just look, I know that they're not like they're coming off of injuries that cost them significant parts of last year. Still, Chark has 1,000 yards on his resume. Will Fuller was a top 6 fantasy wide receiver in points per game. All right, cool beans. Sure thing. Okie doke. All right, William Fuller did go off the board. DJ Chark is next off the board at just tremendous value. Will Fuller, DJ Chark, Noah Fant is still out there, and that would be a 15 spot drop in ADP. Jahan Dotson goes off the board. Yeah, we haven't heard much about Odell Beckham. At least he's recovering better is what I've heard, and that he might return. But he's an older wide receiver coming off an ACL tear. The last one didn't go so well. It took him a while to get back into football shape, to be honest. It's not good. But yeah, I think I'll take Van Jefferson here. That's the right pick. And then I'll take Hayden Hurst, and then I'll just smatter those running backs. The rest of the way, just taking shots on these rookie running backs. Because you like we have guesses, but Isaiah Spiller could get 2nd round draft capital. He could get 6th round draft capital from what I've been looking at. Could be anywhere. You just never know. Some quarterbacks going off after Van Jefferson, Davis Mills, Daniel Jones, Mitchell Trubisky. And if I have to pick between Noah Fant and Hayden Hurst, that's going to be disastrous. Like we saw last year, Noah Fant had at least 2 number 1 weeks where he was the number 1 tight end on the week in a half PPR. Like Noah Fant he's good. He's good and he'll command targets. It wouldn't surprise me if he out targets DK Metcalf in some games. I know DK Metcalf gets a 26-27% target share, which is real nice. But don't make me pick Hayden Hurst over Noah Fant. That would be disastrous. I'm talking up Noah Fant. And wow, they didn't even give me a chance to take Hayden Hurst. Okay, looks like I am taking Noah Fant now. Okay, if you insist. Round 15 of single quarterback Noah Fant, I'm all set at tight end. I'm all set. I do need some running backs, so I'll just leave that up here for a while and just tap running back for a while. Probably 2 more picks of running back. I don't know what to think about Marlon Mack. I know there are a lot of people who are saying, yeah, he's going to be the running back 1 in Houston, but he's coming off an Achilles injury. He didn't look good last year. He had barely any work at all. I mean, Nyheim Hines barely got any work behind Jonathan Taylor last year. I know Mack had 2 pretty fantasy relevant seasons before the Colts drafted Taylor, and then, well, they drafted Taylor, and then Mack tore his Achilles. So it is what it is. Okay. I think some targets for me later: Brian Robinson, James Cook, Dameon Pierce, Pierre Strong. Yeah, I want Pierre Strong in there. Let me tap a few others just to make sure I get Brian Robinson, James Cook. Okay. Because you just never know about these rookies. And I'd like to take some shots on them for sure. Tyler Goodson, yes. These rookie running backs I just have queued up, and depends on where I want them to go. I don't have any Keyshawn Vaughn in this league, but I do have the rookie running backs queued up. Right now, I am at a 2-3-7-3 build through 15 rounds. My 2 quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields. My 3 running backs, A.J. Dillon, Chase Edmonds, Isaiah Spiller. I went with a 0 RB build, and I'm just going to take some shots late on these rookie running backs, Isaiah Spiller included. I'm going to pretty much ignore a lot of the other positions. I was able to get Mark Andrews, Cole Kmet, and Noah Fant in this draft. So I felt pretty good. I got sniped on the Cincinnati stacks. Joe Burrow went off a pick before me. Hayden Hurst went off a pick before me. I have Chase and Higgins in this draft. First time drafting on Drafters, and that's what I get. So Robert Tonyan, I don't need any of that. James Cook has been profiled as this PPR back, kind of like his brother, and I don't know about his draft capital, but in a full PPR league, that could be an interesting spot. So I'm going to take James Cook. We'll see where he lands. But Brian Robinson goes off. Not a fan of that. Kyron Williams has that PPR capability from Notre Dame. I know he didn't test well at his combine, but at his pro day, he did a little bit better, and that hushed the crowd a little bit more. Throwing Kyron Williams, I had too much of him in my big board pre-combine on Underdog Fantasy, but I think that NFL teams are going to see him as like a Theo Riddick. And if he can do Theo Riddick things his rookie year, like a Kenneth Gainwell light, I mean, Kenny Gainwell had a few top 12 weeks last year, and he would have cracked your starting lineup. Those are the types of dart throws you want to take at this point in the draft. There's ambiguity. You don't know where they're going to land and how teams are going to view them or value them. But that's kind of what I want is this ambiguity here. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about my wide receivers. I might take one more throughout this draft. If you're watching, feel free to comment. Let me know what questions you have. If you're actually in this draft, let me know your username and we can chat about it. I love doing these types of things, doing live drafts and commenting and engaging with with other people. It's part of my learning process, and I'm sure it helps you with yours as well. Kyron Williams does go off the board, and one of the running backs I'm interested in, there's a 0 dead cap hit for Kareem Hunt. D'Ernest Johnson looked really good, and he had almost the same amount of receptions in like half as many games as Kareem Hunt. He had the same amount of catches as Nick Chubb in like a part-time role. So D'Ernest Johnson in full PPR tournament, that's a player that I want to take a late dart throw on. Round 17, absolutely. 197th overall. We saw what he can do. That's the thing, is if you know what a player can do, and there's not really been a change in D'Ernest Johnson's situation. If anything, the offense will be improved if Deshaun Watson is on the field for the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns have a lot of receiving help, need a lot of receiving help. David Njoku is there, of course, but it's Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Anthony Schwartz. Rashard Higgins is gone. Jarvis Landry might resign. We don't know, though. It's just throw your hands up. We'll see. Okay. Or like Darrell Williams, if he signs with Arizona, he went and visited Arizona a couple days ago. I don't think he's signed yet. But if Darrell Williams signs in Arizona, I'm very interested in taking a late round stab on Darrell Williams. That's a player I would be interested in taking a stab on. Probably not right now. Although maybe this is the time like to get him round to 18. But I do want to make sure I get like a Pierre Strong. There's been a lot of love for Pierre Strong in the fantasy community. So I want to make sure I do that. And then, of course, Tyler Goodson. There's been some love for him as well, given his measurables. Okay. So I'll probably take Strong here. And then Goodson, probably the last round, and then one of the wide receivers that's out there. Let me look at all available and just see what kind of value we're talking about. So Marquez Callaway is out there. Sterling Shepard is out there. Not interesting to me. I liked for a while taking a late round stab on Justin Ross if he gets stacked with Trevor Lawrence in the draft, 3rd or 4th round. Wendell Robinson, that's an interesting wide receiver that I want to take a shot on. Khalil Shakir has gotten some love in the deep cut streets. Amir Smith-Marsette is also a player that I like taking at the end of drafts. He was one of only 11 rookies last year to have a 100-yard receiving game. Amir Smith-Marsette, put him on your radar. Yeah, let me look at just a few other players and see if there's anyone who pops off the board to me. Really, at this point, Mike Strachan, what could have been? River and McLeod is signed with San Francisco. Wendell Robinson is someone that I want to take a stab on in the 19th round. Rookie wide receiver out of Kentucky, SEC, had a 30% target share there his junior year. Early declare, undersized, he's 5'8", but at Kentucky, their new head coach there was a coach for the Rams and used him in the Cooper Kupp role, and boy, did he produce. So if a team uses Wendell Robinson, look out. That team, I mean, could it be the Packers out of the slot? Wendell Robinson, oh boy, maybe a new Randall Cobb. I know Cobb is more like 5'10", but that would be interesting to me, using Wendell Robinson, as he's like the complete diametric opposite of what Amari Rodgers was as a pick last year. Amari Rodgers, slow, short, big, blocking, slot receiver, yards after catch type of guy he'd need to extend his route tree. Whereas Wendell Robinson, just all over the place, sweeps, tosses. I mean, he has the speed, 4.4 speed, to be able to outrun players. He does have a small catch radius, but that's what you get when you have a player who's 5'8". But if you go to the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. He'll be able to get the ball to Wendell Robinson in space, and it's about time if the Packers get a player like Wendell Robinson on their team as a rookie out of the draft. That wide receiver room would be wide open. And you could see a lot of love for Wendell Robinson, like the third or fourth round. I don't know if he'll fall there. And I think the Packers would take a wide receiver in the first round. They've got 2 late first round picks. Okay. Well, I went a 2, 6, 8, 3 build so far. Are there any quarterbacks that are of interest that might have fallen anywhere? Oh, maybe is what's his name? Ritter. Is Ritter out there? Yeah, Desmond Ritter. I can't leave drafts without him. And only having 2 quarterbacks, I don't know where Ritter's going to land. I was talking myself into running backs, but taking shots on all of these, I have 2 that I know are going to get work, and Isaiah Spiller's probably going to get work as well with those PPR backs. I'm willing to ride the wave, I suppose. But Desmond Ritter at the rushing upside is just tantalizing for me. But I don't need quarterback. Although I got screwed last year, and a lot of my underdog leagues were only drafting 2, and I should have had a third just for bye weeks, because if you lose out on the bye weeks, man, you're in a lot of trouble. And Desmond Ritter has been a player that has improved every year. He was at Cincinnati. He played some of the toughest competition last year. He did okay. Wasn't amazing, but he was efficient, and he can run. So I could see Pittsburgh taking him at the 20th pick overall and view my team. There we go. My draft is complete. Let's look at my team. I have no idea where everybody is, but I went with I don't know why the rookies aren't showing up. Oh, probably because it's week 1 and they don't have them up yet. But for the non-rookie players on my team, Justin Fields and Matthew Stafford at quarterback. I also drafted Desmond Ritter. Running backs, A.J. Dillon, Chase Edmonds, D'Ernest Johnson. Isaiah Spiller is also on there. Pierre Strong is on there. And there was another running back. I don't think I drafted Goodson. Nevertheless, Marquise Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, DJ Moore, Michael Thomas, Van Jefferson. That feels pretty good. And then Cole Kmet, Noah Fant, Mark Andrews slotting in at tight end. Not a bad start. I got sniped on some of the Cincinnati players. This was a lot of fun. Let me know if you like more of this content, and I'll be sure to give some love your way. Comment, give some likes on the YouTube channel. And yeah, thanks everyone for drafting with me tonight. This is a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll do it again soon. Have a good night, everyone. And once again, my name is Bradley Stalder. Follow me at FF Stalder on the Twitter. We're going to stop the share screen and give some brand here. Okay. Show display name. There we go. So you can follow me, Bradley, at FF Stalder on Twitter. And you can follow a lot of my fantasy work there. I'll be posting a lot more updates, so follow me there. I'll be able to give you some more fantasy advice, send me some DMs, and we can talk more best ball. Till then, good luck in the best ball streets, and we'll see you. Have a good night.